everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love, something about your love changes everything.
Everything, something about your love. Woo! Come on, somebody. Happy Friday. It's a good Friday. Got Chuck B. Good morning, sir. Bert Reggiani. Man, happy Friday. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm standing up because I just can't sit down right now. So good. So yesterday, first off, yesterday was awesome. The Boo Bash went off with yeah, it was just awesome. Like everybody showed up and donated candy and served at the table. We passed out so much candy, man. There was hundreds and hundreds of kids there. It was incredible. It was awesome. So the reason I'm standing up, and I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm processing through something, and I normally don't like to just talk to, I normally like to actually finish processing or get somewhere. Um, Man, I wish Pastor Tom, there we go. Pastor Tom, you're online. Brother, I wish you were here so that we could talk through this before I shared it. But, man, I had this thought. So I was in Romans 1 today, and I'll just read you a little bit. So starting in 18, it says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, but because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived even since the creation of the world. In the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. For although they know God, although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks for him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immoral God for images resembling mortal men and birds and animals and creepy things. Therefore, God gave them up in their lust for their hearts to impurities, to dishonor their own bodies amongst themselves." And it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Wish I was there too. I do. I wish I was there, because you're gonna have to clarify this for folk. So I was reading this, and I was thinking about, it just depravity, right? Like we always talk about. We don't always talk about it, but we've talked about it before. Just this concept of total depravity. And so I'm reading this, and I'm thinking about total depravity, and this it goes on, man. It keeps going, and it talks about how they don't want anything to do with God, right? Like they don't want anything to do with him. And they're just giving over. They're just giving over to their lust. They're giving over to their sins. They're totally deprived. They're totally wicked, right? And then I started thinking about hell, right? And we always have this picture of hell as these people who are so, obviously, hell is this, we think about it as this torturous place where people are just like, burning alive. And it's a crazy, image, right? That we don't even like to think about. And we think, man, God, why would you send people there? Why would you do this? Why would you do that, right? And I love Matthew 25 because actually I remember a sermon by, what's his name? Billy Graham. I can't believe I forgot Billy Graham's name. But he was talking about how hell was never designed for people, right? Like it was designed for the fallen angels and Satan. And God didn't want anybody to go there. He didn't want anybody to go there. He did everything in his power so that men wouldn't go there. But men, with their free will, have chosen to go there, right? People have chosen to pursue that and to go there. God did everything in his power so that men would never be there, right? He even sent his son to die so that they didn't have to go. And yet, with their free will, they've chosen that path, right? And so just thinking about this whole idea of total depravity, and we always have this picture of men or people sitting in hell, begging God, I've had this picture of men and women being tortured, being burned alive, screaming out, God, Can I have one more chance? Can I have one more chance? God, for all of eternity, they're just down there, crying out and trying to get one more chance, and God never answers, right? And that was my picture, and that's why it was so hard for me to think that this is the reality, that there are people in hell screaming out, trying to get God to answer, and he's just for the rest of eternity going to ignore them. Like, that's a hard concept. It's a hard pill to swallow. And I've never settled the issue and said, like, hey, that's wrong, right? I know that God's wisdom is infinitely more than mine, and so I can sit in the fact that I'm not going to know all the answers, and I'm not going to be able to see it rightly until I get to the other side of glory. But then I was thinking about this. Man, like, these guys have, like, so everything that's good is in God, and so God is completely separated himself from hell, right? Like, God is not there. God is completely separate. And therefore, these guys are totally deprived, right? And so I had this picture that even if God came and answered, even if God came to hell and opened the door and said, hey, y'all could come out, like they're totally deprived. They would not want that. They would come to the door and shut it and say, I would rather burn in hell than to be in your presence. Because they're totally given over to their sin. It's total depravity. They do not want to be in the presence of God. Man, Pastor Tom, we need you. We need you to talk more about this. I'm just thinking about this, and it's just blowing my mind. But I never put that together before, and so. But man, that just answers so many questions for me. And I don't know if it's right. I don't know what it is. But that's where I'm landing right now. So there you go. You get some raw Aaron thoughts. And maybe next week, Pastor Tom can do some clarifications, and we can go deeper into this. But that feels, I don't know. I think that is a right interpretation. Come on, what did Pastor Tom say? Yes, amen. Hell is a place where he honors their request to be absent from his presence. Come on, guys. This is so good. This is so good. And I know, some of you, may have people in your lives, and or just even you have struggled with that reality of hell. And we have this false picture that these guys want to get out of it. But just the reality that they're completely given over. Like God has given them over to their sin, that their sinful nature. He's given them over to it. And so they are totally deprived, and they do not want righteousness. They do not want to be saved. So that's it, y'all. Love you. See you later. Bye.